Do you want to wake up feeling like you're stepping into who you're meant to be, into the best possible version of you? What if I told you that the key to your best life, health, and happiness are all around you? You just have to find what works for you. I'm Hope Pedraza, and I believe that there isn't just one way to live a healthy and meaningful life, and that all you need is a little inspiration to make changes that last from the inside out. Each week, I'll be sharing tangible tips and inspirational interviews to help you on your journey. These are the steps to take to improve your life and live with purpose. This is Hopeful and Wholesome. Hey y'all, welcome back to Hopeful and Wholesome. Today, maybe not exactly today. Well, yeah, today because this episode is launching. So today I'm celebrating 100 episodes. And honestly, I never thought I would be here. I know that sounds really cliche and cheesy, but I I started this podcast. I started it during quarantine, during COVID, and as a way to be able to serve people in a different way and in a broader capacity to reach more people. And I wanted to support people and their wellness journeys as much as possible. And I wanted this to be a way to do that. And I kind of went through some ups and downs throughout my journey here podcasting. And I say that just because, I mean, if anybody listening has a podcast or has ever, done a podcast, it's a lot of work, right? It's a lot of, generating ideas and getting guests and creating content. And then, you got to edit it and you've got to do all the things and put it out there. And it's a lot. And I know there was a period of time where I kind of took a break from it all. I was just a little overwhelmed with life. And then I got back into it. And the past year, I've just totally fallen in love with it. And I love me. I mean, I get to meet so many incredible people and hear their stories and talk to them and learn from them. Like, I think that's selfishly, it's like, hey, what can I learn from these people myself? I love it. And while I am an introvert and I'm one of those, like, I'm a little bit of an extroverted introvert in certain situations, but I am an introvert. And I find this is like, I don't know, I feel like this is the best way for an introvert to like meet people and network and talk to people because it's not as mentally exhausting as talking to people in real life. At least that's what I think. And I've been able to meet so many incredible people and to collaborate with them and be on their podcasts or help them out with their their community. And so it's really been a pretty cool journey through podcasting. And I really never thought I would be able to proclaim myself as a podcaster. It still sounds really weird because I think of, like, I don't know, Lewis House, who's got like a bajillion followers and, has a studio, and it's very, it's just a weird thing for me, but I love it. And committed to, I'm committed to it. I really am. I love this avenue to reach people. I love hearing from people after I post episodes and then people that share with their friends or their family. And it's just really cool. And I love the, well, I guess just the opportunity to reach more people in this capacity, people that, I may never meet otherwise, who can listen in and they can still learn from me. And so, anyway, I just wanted to take an episode to thank you for listening, for my little community who listens to my podcast every week. And if you've ever shared it with a family member or a friend or whatever, I'm grateful for you and I'm grateful for your support and for your continued support as I grow this. And I'm really committed this year to really really pushing the boundaries on this and the topics we talk about and the guests that I can get on and the things that I want to talk about and really grow this thing how I had initially pictured it. And, after kind of working out the kinks and working through my own like energy leaks and stuff, I'm just taking this year to recommit to it. And I thought I would share just some things I've learned over the past couple of years from this podcast, from the people that I've had on, and really just kind of share what my journey has been. And I feel like this has been an integral part of it just because, I mean, everything is a part of your journey. Like, that's without saying. But I think over the past few years, um, really diving into my own like self development and my own personal journey and spiritual journey. Like it's this has also played a part in it. And I made a post the other day. If you saw it, you can check it on my Facebook. But I wanted to speak to that too because I feel like I had kind of had this epiphany, if you will. Funny enough, it was happened on the day of Epiphany, and it was this breakthrough of sorts, and things that not like I didn't know any of this, but the when it comes to your consciousness, it's like you have these subconscious thoughts and yearnings and feelings, but when it comes to your conscious, you're like, holy crap, like, oh, this is like a pivotal moment in my like personal development, And what talked about in the post, I'll just share what I've talked about, but it was something that I mentioned that I was a little hesitant to share just because I don't know, I guess I was afraid of what other people think. And as I've been committed to this, my own personal growth and evolution and this, kind of spiritual journey that I'm on within myself, I've also committed to being me and to being me unapologetically and to being me without worrying about, offending other people or, within reason, of course, not being, disrespectful or, vulgar about it, but you know what I mean? Not just not worrying about people disagreeing with me or whatever. And I think for so long, I did an interview yesterday that's coming out in March on my podcast. It's a really amazing story. You're gonna love it. But we were talking about that, both of us talking about being self-proclaimed recovering people pleasers, and I lived a lot of my life like that, pleasing people and being afraid to kind of rock the boat or have my own thoughts or opinions about things and why, why. And so as I've been on this journey over the past few years, I am recommitting to it in 2023, and I'm really doubling down on that piece of me. And the journey I've taken is really a journey into me, into myself, a journey back to me. And it's been this journey into the depths of my soul and really just understanding who I am. And I grew up in church, and I talk about this. Me and my guest that you'll see in March, we talk about this. Her name is Nicole, and both of us had a similar story in this. But growing up in church and religious communities, you you kind of, at least in my experience, this is just my personal experience. I'm not saying this happens to everybody, so don't think I'm like making a blanket statement about anything. And I'm also not bashing anything. I'm just sharing my experience and the things I've learned from it. And I'm grateful for all the experiences that I've had. But anyway, growing up in church and religious communities, it's you kind of get in this bubble, right? Especially when you're in the Bible Belt in the South, right? You just kind of grow up in this bubble, and your identity is tied to that, right? To that religious piece of yourself. At least it was for me. And that was me. It was me, trying to be the good Christian and the good girl and follow the rules and all of that. And I think in a lot of religious communities, the word quote unquote spiritual can be seen as something negative and something that means that you aren't connected with God or your religion or whatever. And as I've been on my own personal journey, I've come to realize how I just don't see it that way. I just don't. And I see that everyone has their own path to connect with God or whatever that divine energy is that you resonate with. If that name doesn't resonate with you, whatever, I think God is bigger than us trying to like put a single definitive name on it. I just think he's bigger than that. But I see that everybody has their own path to connect with God, and that no one of us, no single human is responsible for somebody else's journey to that, and I see that if religion is important to you, then spirituality can be important to you. And I see that you can embrace religion and you can be strong in your faith, and that you can also believe in the spiritual realm and connect with yourself and others on this spiritual level, and at the same time stay strong in your beliefs and your religious beliefs. I see that sometimes being religious, quote unquote religious, can hold us back from really diving in spiritually and diving in fully to learn who you are at that spiritual level, at the depths of your soul, and to really connect with your own spirit and learn about who you are on a spiritual level and understand who you were meant to be and how you were designed to live out your life on this earth. And I think again, kind of being in that bubble, I think there's this humanity piece that's missing from a lot of religious experiences where it's all about the rules and following the rules, and a lot of it is fear based. And I know growing up that's my experience. It's fear based, and you do this and you do this and you do this. If you don't do this and you do this, then you're going to go to hell. And that was kind of the extent of it, right? It's kind of the hellfire and brimstone thing. And again, me sharing my experience isn't saying everybody that had the same experience as me got the same thing out of it. That it's, everybody, lots of people can go through the same experience and have two totally different perceptions of it. So let me just also say that I'm just telling you about my personal perception of it and my experience of, the situation I was in. But I think when you get into that bubble, the humanity piece is missing. You lose a sense of who you are as a person because you are a human outside of religion. Like, you are not defined by your religion. You are a human. And so I think my view within religion was much more outward and less inward, right? I was committed to living the good Christian life on the outside, but never really bothered to get to know me and who I really was on this, like, again, at the depths of my soul, like, who am I at a soul level? And realizing that I have my own spirit, I am my own person, and I'm here to live out my own journey that has nothing to do with anyone else's. And so I think I was, because I was kind of living in this bubble, I was unaware that I could actually create my own opinions about things and have my own beliefs about things and question things. That's what me and Nicole, the girl I interviewed yesterday, we were talking about is, you were taught to not question anything. And I think as a human, I think we're designed to find answers within ourselves. And so I did not realize that I, as a human, was separate from religion. And I didn't realize how disconnected from myself that I really was. And I really think that this is one of the reasons that I struggle to really love myself and my body and take care of myself for so long. I've mentioned this a little bit. I've never really like dove headfirst into it, but I mean, there was years of my life I spent hating my body. I had disordered eating behavior, and I I just remember how, like, stressed out I would be about food and what I was eating, when I was eating, and what I shouldn't eat, and just obsessing and just so much obsession over it, and wishing I looked like somebody else and trying everything I could to get the perfect body that I pictured in my head. And I just I mean, honestly wanted to look like anybody but myself. And I had this, like, you know, it was perfectionist, first of all. So I had this perfect image of what I should look like or whatever. But at the time, looking back now, I can totally see it. But at the time, I didn't realize, like, how much, like, self hate I had. I know that's a strong word, but really and truly, that's what it was. I could not accept myself. I could not accept my body. And I think really it comes from this piece of being so disconnected from myself. I didn't know who I was. I had no idea. I defined myself by these certain parameters, and that was it. And, I wondered why I was getting sick and injured all the time. Like, I was just not taking care of myself at all. And I remember thinking just terrible things about myself, just hating what I saw in the mirror. And at the same time, judging everyone else around me for how they looked and, decisions they were making and what they were doing in their lives. And I was constantly comparing myself, my body, my progress, my journey, my life to everyone else. Constant comparison. And I don't remember who said it, the quote that comparison is the thief of all joy. Like, that's it. I mean, it literally sucks the joy out of every situation. I remember events and, parties and things that were supposed to be fun growing up. And I just remember how I just had such a miserable time because all I could think about was what I couldn't eat there. And, well, if I eat this, then tomorrow I'm just gonna not eat at all. It was just that was that was my life. And I also want to say this too. I Not to say I had a terrible time growing up, because I am very blessed to have had great parents and great family and great friends and a good childhood, but it was this internal battle, right? It was this internal battle that I had. I have great memories of my childhood and we had great times, but the internal battle goes on at the same time, right? It's again, we talk about like mental health and depression and stuff. It's what goes on that you can't see, and everything looks fine from the outside, but there's stuff going on behind the screen, if you will. And I was just so oblivious to it for so long. And so when I kind of dove into my own personal development and spiritual journey in my late 20s and my 30s, I had so many realizations like this, just realizing like how much time and energy I wasted hating myself, and because I didn't know myself. At some point, I lost a piece of myself. I never knew myself, not really. Like I never really knew myself. I never took the time. And it's something you're not taught. And I think for me, growing up in, the church and the religious community I did, I don't know, you're just taught to love God and know God, and that's great and all. I'm not discounting that, but you also have to know yourself, like there's a piece of that. And so there's this there's a separate piece. There's this piece that's separate from religion that involves you getting to know yourself on a spiritual level, who you are at the depth of your soul. And that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to know who I was and who I'd always been. It's like, I know this sounds really cheesy, but it's like meeting yourself for the first time. Like, oh, this is who I am. It's that experience I had when I first learned my human design, where I'm like, gosh, this is me. Like it's meeting myself for the first time. And so I started the work into myself, within myself. I started to notice changes and think how I thought about myself and how I felt about myself and my body and how I felt in my body and how I took care of my health and how I take care of others and who I was in relationships and how I relate to God and how God relates to me. It just totally started shifting things. And I honestly have never been able to connect to God as deeply as I have getting to know myself on this spiritual level, and getting to know myself has really been the deepest work of my entire life. The deepest spiritual work is getting to know me. It wasn't learning more about religion or it was learning more about me. It was learning me. This is what brought me closer to God. And this is what brought me into my true purpose. And that's why I want to tie this into, because it's through this growth and this evolution, this transformation, that I've really been able to dive into me and how I want my business to look and how I want my business to feel and how I want, you know, my clients to feel, and the people who are in my community and the people I'm reaching on avenues like this, through the podcast, like how I want it to look. And because this wisdom, this spiritual wisdom that I really feel so blessed to have, like to to be on this path. And I don't want to say I've like reached, full enlightenment or anything, but being able to be on this path where it's just something I want to share with everybody, because I think it's something that everyone I think that's what we're here to experience on this earth. I really feel like this is our purpose, is to grow and evolve and be enlightened and learn about ourselves at this level, and do that with other people. And I really see this as the missing piece to so much suffering and anguish and frustration and resistance and stagnation and upheaval in our bodies. Like, this is the missing piece. And I can recognize that, we all want the physical parts of our health to go away, like the physical symptoms. That's what people come to me for. They come to me for the physical things. But these physical issues, these physical ailments are all rooted in some spiritual or emotional source. I firmly believe that, and I've witnessed it firsthand. That's what shows up. What starts as a spiritual or emotional imbalance shows up physically in the body. And it starts at a place where we've become disconnected from ourselves. And that's the message I want to put. These physical issues in the body starts from a place where we've become disconnected from ourselves. And this is my life's purpose. This is my life's purpose now, to help women uncover that on all levels. And this year that I've come to this, having this epiphany, or this, realization, I'm declaring that this year, 2023, is the year that I allow my fullest expression to come to light, and to be able to really live out this purpose that I've been just kind of holding back a little bit. And, fear of judgment or whatever. It's, silly things like that. But to be able to live out this full expression of me and hold space for women and their physical, their emotional, and their spiritual journeys because they're all connected. I know I say that all the time, but feeling it like at a cellular level within myself and being able to hold space for women to do that. There's so much that I'm bringing into my containers this year to be able to hold space for all of that, for the physical, the emotional, the spiritual part, for all of it. And I'm not letting go of the physical part, the functional labs and the functional nutrition. It's a huge piece, and it's a piece that has to be addressed. But the, there's so much more to it than that. It goes so much deeper than the physical healing that needs to happen. So what I'm creating within my business is this. It's a full service healing experience. Like this is a healing at every level. And I've been wanting to build this for so long, and I think I've been holding back too because I also didn't really know what I wanted it to look like. Like I needed to learn these things within myself before I could be like, okay, this is what I want to do. This is what I want it to look like. And so I've been doing all of these things behind the scenes this past year. I've done some really deep human design trainings and certifications and programs diving so deep in human design. I actually just finished my level 3 Reiki master training. Like I've been doing all these things to tie in the spiritual and the energetic pieces that go with the physical pieces. It's all coming together. And like I said in my post last week, it's this magnificent masterpiece that I cannot wait to share. And so I want to thank you listening for being a part of it. Just listening to me, even if you've never spoken to me a day in your life, even if you've never, commented or reached out or anything, just being a part of my community. I'm so grateful that our paths have crossed, that you're in this space with me, and just know that I am here and available for you and for your total healing. And I can't wait to walk through all of this with you and to be able to share this piece of the journey with you. Again, even if it's just through this podcast, even if we never work together, just through the podcast, that to me is enough, knowing that I'm able to just be a part of your journey in just that little way. So I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful for this journey. I'm grateful for this podcast. Like who knew podcasting could like totally change people's lives? It's pretty awesome. I'm excited for things to come this year. I hope you are too, and I hope that you'll stick with me on this journey and that you'll let me be a little part of it and maybe shoot me a message and don't just be a fly on the wall. If you want to be a fly on the wall, there's no judgment there either. But I love responding. That's part of my human design is I like responding to people. So reach out and um, share a piece of your journey and any transformations that come your way. I would love to hear about it. I'm truly grateful for this community, for you listening, and for everything to come. And I just wanted to share that with you on this 100th episode of my show. And here's to like 500 more, y'all. Thanks, y'all.
Thanks for listening to Hopeful and Wholesome, y'all. If you found value in this week's episode, please subscribe on iTunes or wherever you listen to your podcast and leave a review to let me know what you thought. I'd love to know what you find useful in these episodes so I can know how to provide the most value I can to my listeners. And if you have topics you'd like to know more about, I'd love to hear those as well. So shoot me a message on Instagram, Facebook, or LinkedIn. It's at TheHopePedraza, or you can visit my website, hopefulandwholesome.com. Thanks, y'all.